This time last year, 38% of small companies in Ireland who were polled said that a mere survival was the goal for 2023. Now that figure is down to 19%, according to Peninsula, which carried out this survey of SMEs in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Britain and Ireland. It also looked at workplace arrangements and found that Irish employees were among the least likely nations to be offered flexible working. James Potts is the Chief Executive of Peninsula Ireland and provides HR services to smaller companies. James, good morning. Happy New Year.
Morning, Joe. Happy New Year.
Tell us about who you polled.
We polled 79,000 small to medium-sized enterprises across the globe in the 5 territories that you mentioned.
Right, that's a lot of companies, but these are mostly micro companies, would they be?
They would be employers typically with between 5 and 10 employees. That represents the vast majority of our client base in the 79,000 small to medium-sized enterprises that we polled.
I see. It's interesting that survival wasn't as big a worry for them, looking forward for 2024 as it was 12 months ago.
Correct. And this is the second year that we've run this survey. We're going to continue to run it because it allows us to test the temperature of the confidence of the SME market across the globe. And what the recent survey indicates to us is that there is more optimism than there was this time last year.
Growth is the big thing for companies this year.
Correct. That's balanced against the concerns around rising costs. And so whilst there is optimism, that has to be tempered by some degree of caution, particularly as we look at
energy costs are higher, and though they are retreating, interest rates are much higher, though according to some of the central banks, they'll be retreating from the second half of this year. How do Irish SMEs or micro businesses compare to the other countries that we named, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK?
Well, the Irish market is consistent with the other areas across the globe in terms of the results. What we found in the results, particularly in Ireland, is that there are differences in relation to working arrangements.
So, the flexible working hours that I was talking about.
Correct. And so there may not be as much optimism around flexible working arrangements for Irish employers who represent the businesses that we've surveyed, on account of the difficulties that the types of employers might face, i.e. Those within the retail market, those within the leisure and hospitality industry may not have the ability to be as creative.
If you're running a hotel or you're running a pub, working from home is not really an issue, is it?
Absolutely. It's far harder to look at flexible working arrangements than it might be across different businesses across the globe. And for that reason, Irish employers, from the survey results that we've found, are less able to offer flexible working arrangements.
And does that mean that there are fewer pubs, restaurants, hospitalities, retail companies in Canada or New Zealand or Australia?
Possibly not. It just might be the demographic of the respondents who have responded to the survey. But there are subtle differences as well as consistent results across the survey results from this year. And increased optimism comes through in those results.
Oh, so the increased optimism in Ireland comes through?
It does.
Yeah.
There is a bigger focus on growth than there was this time last year, when survival was a key priority for Irish employers.
Yeah, well, growth signals that they're feeling relatively confident, relatively buoyant about it. I see Canadian employees are twice as likely to get a pay rise than those in Ireland, and 3 times as likely as Australians. So the Canadians are doing okay?
Canadians seem to be doing okay, yes. It may well be that the Irish employers who we've surveyed are more creative when it comes to responding to requests for pay rises. Irish employers,
creative ways of saying, no, you can't get it, or what do you mean?
Possibly. Well, looking at different rewards and ways in which to retain existing talent and attract talent to their organisations. So looking at career pathways, looking at training and development, and trying to come up with creative solutions to retain employees, perhaps is more prevalent in and amongst Irish employers than it is within the Canadian comparisons that we've drawn.
Now, tell us a bit about, because staff retention is really important these days, because at the moment, employees appear to have the whip hand over employers, i.e. employers are desperate to retain staff. What kind of methods do they use to retain those staff?
Well, as I say, looking at career pathway opportunities, and development and training.
And that works for the staff?
It does. It's not going to work in every situation, but we find that from the clients who we speak to, particularly in Ireland, that coming up with creative ways to retain staff through opportunities for development and training and career progression arguably are more important to employees, balanced against the cost of living crisis that everybody is currently facing.
So tell us a little bit about what Peninsula does. I mean, you basically, do these small companies outsource a lot of their HR requirements to companies like Peninsula?
They do. We've got just over 6,200 clients in Ireland who outsource their HR expertise to us to assist them with any compliance issues or difficulties that they're facing from a HR or employment law perspective.
Or payroll?
Some payroll queries come through to us, so we can assist with any questions relating to that. We also have additional services in respect of software that can undertake payroll navigation calculations and produce reports.
So how does it work? So if you've got a hotel, let's say you're a hotel down in Limerick, wherever it is, do you get in touch with you guys and say, listen, I want you guys to sort out how I can all the legal issues with my staff and help with payroll issues and any legislation coming down the tracks? Is that how it works?
It is. And if you've got any employment law or HR or health and safety issues that you're concerned about as an employer, you've got access to our 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year advice service, and the ability to contact an expert who is able to assist you on the spot at any time. We had calls on Christmas Day, for example.
Wow.
For employers who are obviously concerned about HR and employment and health and safety issues and compliance matters that their business face. So having that reassurance and that protection from an outsourced provider like us provides an enormous amount of reassurance.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming in. That's James Potts, the Chief Executive of Peninsula Ireland.